let's get our guest in here and stuff like that. We brought a guest on for you today, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to shower you with laughter and love. I'm like using the shower word right now and stuff like this since we're talking about showers. She is like the Reggie Jackson of the Jimmy Dore show. She is the straw that stirs the drink. She keeps it all together. Okay? That's what Reggie used to say. I'm just the straw that stirs the drink. Ladies and gentlemen, Stef Zemorano's here.
All right. Hello, you two. How nice to be here. How nice to see my friends that live like around the block and we still have to be separated by miles.
I love that red curtain behind you. It's nice.
Thank you. Thank you for noticing it. Listen, you were talking about you don't want to be, and if I get lipstick on my teeth, God, I wanted to put lipstick on and it's a hazard.
I feel you, Steph. I'll let you know.
So, I'm tired. I know you were talking about that. Fee mentioned that, we have friends that we still were not in lockstep with everything, and I'm like, I'm done not being in lockstep. I mean, it's so nice that really, I'm just like, I glaze over when I talk to a friend that we've been friends for over 30 years, yikes. And she says, isn't it great Biden's in office? Isn't it great Biden's in office? Isn't it great? And I'm like, well, he's probably going to dismantle Social Security and we're never going to get Medicare for all. And she goes, he's not going to do that. He's not good. And I'm like, no, that he's gone on record for 40 years saying how he wants to dismantle it. He's not going to do it. Yeah. How do I know he's not going to do it? How do I know it? Is anybody fighting for the working class? And my friend, they're artists, and they're in the union. They're in the Actors Guild, Screen Actors Guild. And the Screen Actors Guild, when Hollywood shut down, they changed the terms of their retirement. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you're not panicked? You're not looking at your husband's income and your income, and you're not saying, hey, we might not make that cut by next summer? I mean, I don't understand how any American isn't up in arms over the lack of health care. I don't understand. You don't just need your body. You need your vision. You need your hearing. You need your dental. Mm-hmm. Come on. You need all of those things. And I'm mostly, I cannot get over. I really don't want to have conversations to have to convince my intelligent friends what is going on. I such sweet friends. Well, how do you feel about AOC? How do I feel about AOC? What has AOC accomplished?
I mean,
well, she's a good video game player, right? Yeah. Like I heard her in a song.
Come on, she's cute. She's got a nice rack, and everybody's like, "Oh, she's Latina. What could go wrong?" Well, we did have a black president, and things went wrong. We tortured some folks.
Yeah,
we tortured some folks. I think that's heinous. I think the idea that he could say that in public, we tortured some folks. And in itself isn't the first piece of copy in the history books under Obama's presidency. I don't know if I have the patience anymore. You know what? It really turns out I don't. I'm not really talking to a lot of people.
No. We share your frustrations. I was talking to some friends of mine the other day, just intelligent, smart people that I love them. And just, it's like I don't even try to push back on their conversations. I just get that kind of, sure, and stuff. And isn't it so much, isn't it just a breath of fresh air, Steph, that Joe Biden's in office right now? And we have now a diverse cabinet, like General Lloyd Austin, the first man of color to be the Secretary of Defense. Isn't that awesome? And I'm just sitting there going...
Isn't there Xavier Becerra, too, from L.A.? Isn't he the first Mexican? Viva!
Aren't you happy you're represented, Steph?
So, you know what? I love being represented by a Mexican man.
Yeah.
I like it.
You don't like being represented by an Irishman? Oh, please.
Oh, you know what? I think the whole I was trying. I know we're in the pandemic, and wherever you are on that spectrum of what you trust is happening or whatever, but we're in a pandemic, and that when we were doing Force the Vote for Medicare for All, the blowback that we got for championing something so critical right now for all of our neighbors. This is, my community, my city, my state. And that was a real bitter pill, where it really, it was like a litmus test of who you can rely on.
Yeah. It exposed.
And it's a painful test.
It exposed so many people, and do you want to ask her?
Well, we just want to ask first things first. How's Brownie?
Brownie is walking around. He was in his bag. I might have to grab him in a second. He was sleeping in his bag. I'm like, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, put him in his bed. He won't care. And he's like, hey, where are you going? I'm like, So he's wandering around right now. He's going to bark at me soon. He's great. What was the other thing you're going to ask me? Were you going to asking me about that new article?
Yeah, well, we can talk a little bit about the article. We said, I'm sure you saw it. Only
because you sent it to me. Only because you sent it to me.
I did send it to you because it got sent to us this morning, whatnot. But I think the theme about it that they're really trying to push back on is the fact that anybody talks about any unity when it comes to people who have different political ideologies, the common man, the working man, or the working person, common person, excuse me, they're going to get beat back, and be made to be looked as like people who sympathize with fascists or Nazis or anything like that, and obviously it mentioned a lot of Jimmy, what was going on, and the fact that he brought somebody on. We brought that same guest on, and that person is actually joining us at the Fuck Censorship protest and stuff. But we want to talk about just how it's we have to keep an eye on the oligarchy, the political elites. Those are the ones who are really keeping us divided.
But you can't say that, Pasta. You can't use the word elite, or you're a conspiracy theorist now, right? Yeah. They don't want you to talk about the people who have the most money and power, because look who sits on the board of the Daily Beast. I don't know, Steph. Your thoughts on this ridiculous article?
Well, okay. Well, what I understand, Alexander Reed Ross. First, he has 3 names, so very important.
3 first names
already. All right, and so I understand after reading the article. Really, I didn't read it. Really, I glazed through it. I glazed over, right? And I was like, could you name more names about somebody who met with somebody, talked to somebody? Don't give me the source of that somebody, but tell me some more bull about it. And so now I think I read this. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and follow the journalistic integrity of Alexander Reed Ross. But I understand that Alexander Reed Ross once read a book about Nazis.
Oh, shit.
And now you know who's a Nazi.
Oh.
Right? Am I wrong, Droner? And then what did he say? I just think if this is a hard-hitting article that the Daily Beast was working on, and that somebody printed it, and it's like, oh my God, is this? I think it's like a piece for the Onion.
Yeah, or the Enquirer.
Well, the National Enquirer.
I mean, he obviously needs money. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. I mean, because the whole thing, oh my God, somebody paid for that article. He's gifted. He's gifted writer. He sold that shit. He's a gifted writer. I don't know how anybody could do that. He's controlled opposition, and it's weak sauce. People, and then it's so funny watching the people say, what a fantastic article. Oh, who is Smug Sherp? Oh, Smug Sherp has 3 followers. Oh, okay, Smug Sherp. You really like his article.
Steph, you're
I
funny.
kind of think, we obviously, all of us obviously are doing something right.
Yes.
Because of this organized pushback on all of us. Yeah. And they're just gonna take us off one by one. And the problem is our voice is too strong. The collective us is too strong. They're going to find us. We are going to find our tribe, if you will. You are going to find that collective group. We have found them. We share them. Our audience is shared by us, and I think the idea is that we're all guilty by association by thinking differently. Yeah, I am. I'm guilty. I'm guilty thinking not in lockstep with the mainstream media. I'm so relieved that I don't have the same talking points as Brian Williams does. Or, all of them, they're all slathering. They can't wait to talk about the royal debacle they can't wait to talk about Oprah. They can't wait. And I was like, well, holy shitstorm, Oprah. This is the one that you're breaking, not the despair and tragedy that Americans have existed under for a year. Yeah. This is a year. This is when we were all together. I saw you this time last year at my wedding. This is the day. This is our anniversary, folks.
Yeah. And wow, could you and Jimmy dance? Let me just tell you that much. I was like, I was moving by. Get out the way over there. And isn't it crazy that was like the last thing that all of a sudden the COVID hit? Now we're all just like grounded, but we have that one last beautiful, fun memory. I just wish I would have danced more. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that we were going to be... I would have probably danced until I passed out going back and everything as well.
Yeah. So you have that to look forward to. The next time, everybody should get a heads up that the next time Pasta goes on an event, he is going to drink and pass out. Yeah. He's committing to that.
Well,
like all of us.
I almost did that the other day. Fiorella's birthday. I was doing Gundam style by Psy, and I halfway through my heart started beating. I went too fast, too hard, and I'm like, okay.
I have videos.
We have videos, and you can share it out there. But let's talk about this for a second, Steph, because it's kind of funny. Because I went back and I watched your old video when you, Jimmy, and Ron were together in the studio talking about the Alex Jones being deplatformed. We also all went down to the Hermosa Beach show, which you guys did this extensive talk about censorship. And it's so crazy because I'm thinking about everything that's going on today, how it related to back then when a lot of us were saying, oh my God, Jimmy was out there talking about censorship. Me, I don't know if you know this, I'm a civil liberties guy. So I've always been talking about censorship and our civil liberties and stuff and how important it is. But right now it's hitting us right in the face. And I don't think people realize how dangerous it is. Here's Dr. Naomi Wolf, back on Twitter after a second suspension for this time, 1 week. I read Twitter's rules. I haven't violated anything. Glad to be talking to about 100,000 people who want to talk to me, but shaken that the peaceful adult journalist was treated like a 4-year-old and placed in the corner. This is conditioning. And are you concerned, Steph? I mean, I know you do a lot of things over there, whatnot, and you're always keeping your eyes out and open up. Are you concerned that at the Jimmy Dore show, you guys could be possibly next?
Oh, yeah. I don't think there's any security for any platform that's not in lockstep with how they want us to think. I don't think, that we can, it's weird that being a teacher and that here we are facing real censorship. I mean, that everybody's head didn't explode when they censored Donald Trump from Twitter.
Yeah.
That you go, oh, wait a minute. He's the president of the United States and they're banishing him.
People cheered for that.
That is the long-term consequences it's going to happen to any of us.
Yeah.
It just foreshadows what kind of country we're living in, and that in a time where you should have diverse thinking, that you should allow people with, a different point of view. We can't figure it out ourselves.
Yeah.
We're so easily duped.
Yeah. You're so dumb that you can't figure it out. That's what they think. And they also say that, well, the Facebook, Google, YouTube, they're private companies. They have the right to do what they want. So what do you think of that when they say that Facebook, Google, and YouTube, well, since they're private companies, they have the right to shut out whoever they want? Do you think that's even...
I mean, isn't that just even awful that you have to say that out loud? That you are communicating what actually is happening, that they, have complete control. That, I mean, can you imagine Kamala Harris one day being president and Mark Zuckerberg saying, I want her off of Facebook. And, Twitter goes, you know what? She's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why couldn't it happen that way? And people aren't outraged. It's that whole thing that everybody wanted to deplatform Alex Jones. There are laws. There's a legal system.
Mm-hmm.
And if he perpetuated harassment on people, I'm sure there's a court of law that would be able to prosecute him justly. And so these social media platforms, I mean, God, I hate Facebook.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, every time they've changed it, I go back and I go, oh, this is awful. And then somebody goes, hey, there, like I say that I have messages like, why would I go? I don't go to Facebook. It's awful. It's the devil's world. I like Twitter because it's kind of this playground. And I think people who get upset and like say shitty things to me or anything like that. And I think I'm like, listen, Elephant Head 877, you need a hug. I mean, a lot of times that's what I end up saying. It sounds like somebody needs a hug and read a book with logic and facts. So I think, the whole thing, we know from experience, we've had, stuff taken down on YouTube, about a year ago, or one of our last tours, in San Jose, we did this video and it was killing it. Our editor stayed up that night. We produced the video on live stage and then he turned it around and we dropped it. And it was one of the fastest moving videos ever that we had. And it was exciting. And all of a sudden it was done. It was gone.
Yeah.
And somebody randomly was allowed to put a false claim on that video. Yeah. And of course it takes a lot of time and there's money lost. Listen, that there's this money-making element to YouTube is crazy. And we all tried to seize that opportunity the best that we could. But now we have to rely on other platforms. And thank goodness Rokfin exists.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Sorry. Without Rokfin, we'd be shit out of luck, being demonetized
this
completely.
Channel right here. Come
on. It's just like, and we'll still stream on YouTube so people get the information.
Yes.
But it really irritates the hell out of me that they put their own ads and their own monetization so they can make money out of us. And it's just so irritating. They're robbing us. All of us. They're every single one of us. And, we're not the only ones that were censored. There's a bunch of people that have been censored or demonetized. And the more and more you're seeing like the gray zone marked, like Russia affiliated or like gotten this by hacking. You're seeing people marked as QAnon when they didn't even mention QAnon on YouTube. You're seeing this. We get the election was what is it?
The election was called by the AP and Brian Williams talking about the beauty of our elections.
When we're not even mentioning the election.
Give me 1 second. I got to go grab my dog. He's throwing a fit.
Brownie.
I'm sorry, Brownie.
Steph is so funny. She's so great.
I love
her
it.
stand-up was just that's what really sucks also too about the whole COVID situation. Obviously Jimmy was a seasoned comedian for a while, and Steph would do a lot of stand-up at the live shows. Her and Ron always, when we'd see them, they'd open up, and her shit was just growing and growing and growing.
It's great.
And really, she when I made the comment about her being the straw that stirs the drink, that's an old Reggie Jackson saying, because they were talking about what's your role here, and she's just the straw that stirs the drink. I just loved seeing Steph out there working the crowd before the shows. We're talking about your comedy. Like, everybody's like, oh, Jimmy's the great comedian from such a long time.
He is.
I've been watching, we would go into your live shows up until the COVID started for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. In fact, when we made the decision to have the Convo Couch, it was at a Jimmy Dore show. The one you had Rokfin on stage, and then the sane progressive went crazy the next day, but I guess she was right about Ro. But just seeing you work the crowd and and doing your stand-up and how you were just growing as a comedian too as well. It's like you're so funny and you're so awesome. Don't you miss those days? I mean, I know I'm going to rub it. I'm sure you guys do. I mean, it must be killing Jimmy right now.
Well,
so.
yes. I mean, yes. It was March 1st. So the thing that the tour does is it provides that artistic balance and live performance for somebody who's been on the road for over, 25 years, Jimmy Dore.
Mm-hmm.
And so talking to a camera is a real foreign, you don't get that thing back. That's, that's why it's lucky that we work together and that we live together, that I can be his audience when, he's in it, because how lonely it can be, like it's just a weird experience. So March 1st, we were in Miami a year ago. We were in Miami. And when we were flying back, the guy beside me was covered in a hood and a white coat, everything from head to toe. And I was like, oh, huh. And I was like, excuse me, I need to go to the bathroom, like being really nice. But, that was a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's been painful. And then we did recently a couple live shows on Zoom. And we did a brown paper ticket show New Year's Eve. We've never received our money from brown paper tickets for both shows.
Really? Wow.
And they said, oh, we're really backed up. Well, today is what? March 8th?
Yeah.
And that was a New Year's Eve show.
Wow. That's
ridiculous. And so somebody sent me an article that the Canadian brown paper tickets were having issues paying their people. So do we miss the live shows? Yes, we miss the live shows, but we're creating a show right now, and we're working on a game show so we can be jackasses on Zoom and have fun.
Yeah, no, the game shows are fun. We've done it several times on Rokfin. We've had Ron on and Graham and Kim Iversen. Yeah, it's a hoot. And I always
fun.
win. Just like you, Stef. I heard you always win too, so
I have a strange competitive streak. But on current events, everybody could kill me on current events. It's just like I sneak in the last game with Jimmy, and it was tons of fun with the political vigilante and Ron. They were co-hosting their game show together. So those are great. And doing comedy, I remember like not wanting to do a Zoom comedy show, just going, oh, this is weird. And then you know what? I usually have a cocktail, maybe get high, relax, and enjoy the show. And just like I'm able to have fun. Like I'm doing a friend, Dana Eagle. I'm doing her show this Friday night at Floppers, and she does a game show in it where so her concept of her show is like she has a theme every show, and her concept this week will be Hitler jokes.
Oh, jeez. Really?
Stef.
They just wrote an article,
Come on, Stef.
What are you doing over
What are you doing? Wait, let's get more people angry at you because we want to get your thoughts on Bernie Sanders as of today. He's now forcing the vote on the $15 minimum wage. Sorry. And he voted for the CARES Act. He didn't. He stand up to his friend Joe Biden. He hasn't really produced as much as he alleged in the beginning. We were all Bernie supporters at one time. We all supported him for the presidency, and then 2020 came and the campaign completely changed. What is your opinion on Bernie as of now, as to how he stands in this movement?
Remember when I was at the Young Turks, because Bernie Sanders was going to be a guest there, and we were out of our minds so thrilled. And so when Bernie Sanders walked in at 2016, he walked through the studio and everybody was very like reserved and quiet, and I was sitting there, and then he did this interview and he's coming out and everybody's like, all the studio was there and everybody's like there, and like everybody's like reserved and quiet. I'm like, I'm a Latina and I love Bernie. And he gave me a hug. I let him touch me. And, I was really excited about Bernie's, he would start every rally with, is it time for a revolution? Is he starting that? Does he say anything about a revolution anymore?
No.
You know, because that kind of language in this decade is dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And how do I feel about Bernie Sanders? The love has faded.
Yeah.
The visionary that I thought he was, it's not present. Maybe at their core, maybe all these people at their core are really good people, but I don't know how you can campaign on things and then bow out all the time. How can you campaign and then suggest I vote for Hillary Clinton?
Yeah.
How can you campaign, on Medicare for all and then say Joe Biden isn't going to go for it? We're not going to push him on it. You're not going to push Joe Biden. I don't want to. You're not going to push Joe Biden. Why? Why is he delicate? Why? You're not pushing Joe Biden about Medicare for all, and we know why. Because the power structure doesn't want it. They're not giving it to the people. It's all the power structure. So they're not going to fight the fight. And then they were telling us all the baloney. AOC was saying, well, what we're going to do is we're going to use our leverage on $15
an hour.
Oh, really? Oh, we already had the leverage. We've already said that was a done deal. Stop acting like this is something that you're doing.
Yeah.
This isn't something you're doing. You didn't do anything. Didn't Biden already sign something in January for it?
Yeah.
Something like January 12th, he signed something for $15. And gosh, that we're even talking about $15. How cruel. How cruel.
Well, it seems like the Democratic Party is a graveyard for progressive ideas or progressive policies. So what are your thoughts on Nina Turner? Not only defending the squad, saying they're using a tactic, you know what I'm saying?
You don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, blah, 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 even though we're moving backwards and more people are ending up on the streets and in poverty and can't pay their bills. What are your thoughts about not only her defending the squad in that situation, but more on her thoughts of her trying to run as a Democrat, that same old BS that, I'm going to go in and reform the party from the inside crap?
Well, Fee and Pasta, I don't think you really understand the challenges that are facing these women of color who have been so heroic in just accepting a position of influence and power and then tweeting about all their Twitter is almost like their policy dream that they never, ever plan on fulfilling. And I have to say straight out, because I've been saying it for a while, I'm never giving my money to a Democrat.
Yay. Amen.
I'm never giving my money to a Republican. I've done that. I'm not ashamed that I did it. I'm not regretful that I believed in the policies that these people were they were saying that that's their platform. I'm not going to regret that. But my gosh, if you are my lover, you're fucking me. You are bending me over and fucking me. And I'm not orgasming at all.
Exactly.
I'm left.
You're not enjoying it.
No, I'm not enjoying it. I don't. And I don't want your children, Democratic Party. I don't want to bear your children. All right, because your children are going to just be enslaved by your policies. And gosh, watching us, I've met Nina Turner in person. And I bought her book and gave it to my mom. And Nina Turner, when I was speaking with her, I said, I'm Jimmy Dore's wife. And I don't say that a lot. It's true, but I don't say it, I like people guessing. And she said, oh, Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore says things that I can't say.
I remember.
So she loves Jimmy Dore. We had interviews with her when Jimmy was doing Aggressive Progressive. but she's not been available. And that's okay. That's not a big deal. I don't care. I don't think our show, Jimmy Dore show, our focus was ever about interviews or access. It was about enlightenment. It was about Jimmy has a perspective. Let's acknowledge this. But when I hear somebody say, hey, you know what? I want to let you know right now, I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to disappoint you. You know, and there is a thing called strategy.
Yeah.
There's a thing called strategy, and that's what we can't tell you oh, really? I don't remember that in 2016 when Bernie and Nina were going around saying, you know, we're ready for a revolution. Let's get this together. I don't remember somebody saying, hey, you know what? But Medicare for all isn't going to happen for another 20 years. Did you know that? Why don't you be a grown up about that? And, you know, so as far as I'm concerned, boy, Nina Turner inspires me when she speaks. I wanna sit down and, you know, write a speech like that and feel it and bring people together. That's a gift and that is a talent. And I was inspired by her. Unfortunately, I'm not inspired by a Democrat.
Yeah.
And so I can separate my affection for this dynamic woman.
Right.
But I certainly can't separate the idea that somebody's telling me they're defending these elected officials. They're not your little girlfriend. They're not these weak women. They're not vulnerable. They're powerful people that didn't have this power 5 years ago. They have a lot of power now, and they're using all their power on Twitter.
Yep. It's exactly it.
And then on Instagram, you know, I'm going to grate some lemon right now, and I'm going to talk to you that you know, people are mean and some people should be censored. I'm not going to say who, but there are some people, you know. Sure, I just worked as a bartender a couple years ago, but I know what things should be done. And the first thing that should be done is deplatforming people. Really? Yeah. Did you think AOC was going to talk about censorship? Did you ever think that she would land on that side of it?
Yeah.
It have been a bit, you know what? I don't have children. Children. But if they were my children, I would be so disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing with AOC, it's just she has the power. You said, you know, all they're doing is being on Twitter. AOC has the power, and this is one of the last questions I want to ask. Like, AOC has the power to do direct action, right? To push direct action, to push protest, to push a strike, to go and do more things like she did the sit-in, right, at Nancy Pelosi's office. More of those things. She has 12.5 or 6 million followers. I don't even know, because it increases every single day. And she acts like the force of vote thing was violence against her. She acts like the Capitol riot was the most violent thing ever, but yet she hasn't done anything to provide for the violence and the difficulty. You know, you live in LA. You know what it's like. You know how there's tents everywhere, people everywhere, how $15 doesn't get you anything here, how like the rents are so high, how like a shack costs $1 million here. Like you know how bad it is. And yet you have these people chastising us. There's no empathy for AOC. Where's your empathy for the squad? Where's your empathy for us? What do we do then if the electoral system isn't working? We need direct action. We need leaders who are going to go out there, stand in the front lines of the picket lines, and actually push for change outside the electorate. Don't we?
Totally agree about that. And they know that to be true. They know that they're not, that we are leaving their support. I mean, like, they know it. They know that people have asked, hey, I donated to your campaign. I'm in dire straits. I need that money back. And as far as AOC talking about violence, the despair that is facing our families, that's violence. And that they had to do the following Monday a tribute to themselves, so we could hear them cry, was I've never, ever read anything like that taking place in Congress. that they're going to give you time in the middle of crisis for Americans, and I have to hear your sad sack story about how you were afraid. People are afraid every day.
Every day.
People are suffering every day. And now DC is caged in. They like cages. They want more cages.
Influx
and now they want all of the capital to stay encaged because they're passing legislation that doesn't help the people. Aren't they trying to push forward legislation to make it harder for third parties to even exist?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about how do I feel about the fraud squad, and I know that's hate speech. How can they handle fraud squad? Do something that has a positive impact on our culture and our society for our children. And they're never, and you know what? If you're a college student and you're watching this, they're never going to give you debt relief. They're never going to give you debt relief. That's too much money. They're never going to give you debt relief. They're going to give you more wars.
Yeah. And we talked about AOC. She could talk about her lemons and how she's grinding. And if you ask her, well, what about Biden bombing Syria? Well, you need to twist the lemon properly when you get it in there.
Zero on Biden bombing Syria.
Nothing
on Julian Assange.
Nothing.
Except I need to look into it more, etc. Terrible foreign policy.
Yeah. I'll defer the caucus leadership on Venezuela.
We're constantly bombing Syria, or our NATO-backed affiliates are bombing Yemen. They're bombing Palestinians. This is nothing that gets talked about in the progressive movement. Very few people besides yourself, us, and a few others talk about foreign policy or talk about Julian Assange. It's like you can't if we know about it, right? If, like Jimmy says, if a jagoff comedian can talk about Julian Assange and knows more about the foreign policy, then why do we need these people to represent us? What's the point of having them if they're not going to even remotely touch on those topics that directly impact Americans every single day? The millions of dollars that it costs to bomb a country is what we don't have that money for people here.
Oh, strangely enough, Chuck Todd said, I guess on Sunday on his show, that there was greater disagreement between our elected officials than the citizens, because 70% of the citizens want Medicare for all. 70% of the citizens need help now. And that you don't see that composition being represented in Congress. And you can't help but keep looking at all of this and say it's all by design.
Yeah.
It's all by design to undermine the will of the people. It's so they get health care. The people who are elected by the people, they get health care. They get what? How many more millions of dollars are they getting to increase their security at the Capitol?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we are, what kind of a surveillance state? We're a surveillance state. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
So can somebody explain to me the surveillance state that has been imposed on us since 9/11? Can somebody explain to me how they didn't get the heads up on the group of people that were going to commit this insurrection? Can somebody explain to me where CIA and FBI and everybody was? I understand, like, FBI reached out to Capitol Hill Police and said, hey, we understand that you might need, we got this handled. Well, really? The FBI doesn't choose to have a backup plan if this is fucked up?
Yeah.
To me, it's only allowing our elected officials to further subjugate us.
Absolutely.
They're going to take how many more rights? They're going to take away. We can't even do shows on YouTube. They're so fucking scared of us. What exactly is your influence?
Yeah.
So our influence is bigger, broader, and stronger. And so they're going to create every obstacle because they don't want us coming together.
No, exactly.
They want to continue to do these identity politics and separate us.
Yeah.
And I think it's, I will say this. I am probably one of the few prominent Mexican producers on YouTube in this field as a woman, right? And And I don't even talk about that because to me, that's like, I'm fortunate where I landed. I'm fortunate, the goals that we had, and this is what we created. But I'm one of the few women of color. And Fee, don't you feel that way? One of the few women of color?
Yeah.
That's doing these shows?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I know I am, but it's like, it's never something I lead with.
No.
Right? Like,
why would you?
Yeah.
But they're doing it all the time to us, and they're using these women to be the shields of awful policy that are hurting Americans. And you can't tell me with a straight face or a wonderful video that there's strategy happening.
Yeah.
Because the only strategy I see happening is screwing the American public out of a livelihood. And it's our country can do better, but putting Biden in this position and Kamala Harris, who gets to have the last vote when necessary, how do we think? How are they going to continue to protect her on those votes? How often are we going to see that she doesn't have to make any of these decisions that are critical to the future and consequential to the economy?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know this, Steph. We got to get out of here, but I'm 66% Southern Italian, so I know what it's like when you're talking about all that stuff. And I'm not a big fan of the Fraud Squad because they're fake. But Steph, you're for real. And I'm so glad that Jimmy has you because you're an amazing producer. You really are the straw that stirs the drink. Why don't you tell people what you got coming on? That's a Reggie Jackson thing. Tell people what you got coming up, what's going on, not only with the Jimmy Dore show, but with your the stuff that you're doing as well.
For me, I'm trying to enjoy my one life that I know it. And I enjoy doing the Jimmy Dore show. Our schedule is usually Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday, but when news happens, it just happens.
Yeah.
And then I do shows. I'm doing a show this Friday night at Flappers with my good friend Dana Eagle, and I'll post it on Twitter, not on Facebook. I don't do that. And other than that, hopefully we'll start doing more private shows for our subscribers on Rokfin. Nice. So that's what we're working towards,
Love to see that.
That'd be awesome.
Love to see that and stuff because it really is the Rokfin revolution.
Yes,
We're fighting back against censorship here. That's what it's all about. And,
Rokfin. What a lifesaver for so many of us.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to go out March 18th. Is it March 17th?
March 17th.
March 17th. We're going to go out St. Patty's Day to D.C., even though it's got a bunch of cage flux facilities. We're going out there. We're going to the CNN building. We're going to other places, and we're going to tell them fuck censorship. And we know you over there at the Jimmy Dore show know what we're talking about. So thank you so much for coming on.
I'm a big fan of the Convo Couch. Great time today. Thank you so much, you two, and Johnny.
Johnny's over there on the ones and twos. Thank you, Steph. We love you. We'll see you soon. Remember, Brownie 2024, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it going and stuff. There. Let's end on that. Thank you, Steph. We love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye, guys.